Hey everyone, it's Infinity Gamer here, and I'm going to be talking about October releases. I'm super pumped to be talking about releases, not necessarily because of how awesome the releases are, although obviously that comes into it, but also because I've had a pretty hectic couple of weeks with Infinity. So I've been hosting my own tournament, Taradiso, which I do every year. Love it. New Zealand's tournament. I can't get enough of it. But it does take a lot of hobby focus beforehand. And that was coupled with the fact that I wanted to put a brand new table into Taradiso, which was the Micro Art Studio Almedanat series, which you may have seen that I've done a video on already, the Wave 1 bundle. What I basically did was double down on it. I worked with the team at Micro Art, so I'm going to be doing another review video on their Wave 2 bundle, but also added a whole bunch of other stuff to it to make it a full Infinity table. And I've still got some of the stuff to assemble, but it arrived 3 days before my tournament, and so I had about 3 1 a.m. finishes in the lead up to Taradiso, and even table setup was on the Friday night. The game starts on Saturday, and I was still up at 1 o'clock in the morning on that Friday night trying to finish, get some extra bits assembled. So I'm really excited. I'm down to kind of like the last 4 or 5 packs of the terrain, and then I'll be ready to do my review video. But understandably, when I've got like a week before a tournament, a weekend that's basically a write-off from family, I basically need to do like a week of recovery afterwards. But that's where this video is really exciting, because while it has only been a week since Taradiso, I'm really excited about all the things that have been released, and it's really nice to get those juices flowing, like the excitement for Infinity when you basically like burnt the candle at both ends and tried to rush a whole bunch of painting together to try and field at least a semi-painted army and done all the organization. But enough of that. Let's talk about these releases, and I'm going to be ducking in and out of the camera here because my space is a complete chaotic mess while I've tried to organize things. The first model I want to talk about is the Raven Eye Officer. I'm talking about this one first because I used it at the tournament quite extensively with Torchlight, but also faced it in things like military orders. So a hugely versatile unit. If you've got access to it, you've probably eyed it up and gone, should I be taking this? And for good reason. So in Torchlight, at least, it's got some really good options. So it's a double Lieutenant Order, Lieutenant option. It's got Hollow Mask so that you can hide it as something else to try and con your opponent into thinking, hey, you can't con that it's there because nothing else produces 2 Lieutenant Orders. So as soon as you've got that in your pool, they know a Raven Eye Officer is somewhere. But where? It can go into link teams. It can stand on its own as like a lowly capper. There's plenty of ways that you can hide it if you're sensible. So it's not necessarily the easiest thing to kill. However, I did lose my game 4 pretty much from using my Lieutenant too early, too aggressively to try and complete an objective, and left it out in the open, and it died. The Raven Eye Officer, this is the submachine gun Emarat. The Emarat is a cool piece of kit that has been used aggressively in several games. The model itself, this is really cool. I love the fact they've kept a lot of what I love about the Raven Eye Officer here. The helmet design is ever so slightly different, a bit more modern, a bit more in keeping with where they've taken Torchlight and things like that. So I think that's a little bit the inspiration that they've gone with. The Raven Eye Officer, an exceptional unit, great piece of kit. Nice that there's another option available here. And amazing. Definitely get one if you've got access to a Raven Eye. Even if it's in Torchlight and it's going to be Hollow Master something else for a bit, I think it's well worth the purchase to have it on its own, because you'd be amazed at how often having that sort of unit available. The EM mines, if you go for the mine layer version, forget where that's available in Torchlight. Not sure if Military Orders has access to that as well. But that EM mine has saved me a couple of times when there's been, a Yujing hacker coming into my zone of control or trying to get like a defensive heating unit in Frostbite, and then I've had a mine right next to it and boom, taken it out. So super cool, definitely well worth getting. Love the model, love the unit. The next one that I want to talk about is the Husayn Al Jubeil, which, boom, you can see there, that's the model. When I first saw this, I think, and this is not a negative, it reminded me a lot of like the N2 sculpts that Belly have released. A little bit. Again, this is not negatives. I just can't think of a way of saying this in a way that's positive. The proportions are a bit weird. The featured elements, like that kind of like that clock type thing, like the big medal that's on the chest. The head seeming a bit bigger than the body and the legs. I think maybe it's just the photography. I haven't gotten this out and assembled it because I'm not playing Assassins at the moment, although I have got quite a lot of Hack Islam assembled there, to actually check it out to see if that's just the photography is giving me those vibes or whether it actually is the case. I love the double talon type thing. Looking at the profile, those double talons are the viral CC weapons, which are the little talons on there, which are pretty cool. So it's a Assassin Fidei, like a named character version. It's got BS attack continuous damage, which having a tournament is a great place to be reminded of how many cool things there are out there. Went up against Padre Inquisitor Mendoza against military orders. Afraid of that continuous damage on the weapons there. This is BS attack continuous damage regardless of what there is. So there's the rifle, the light shotgun, and smoke grenades and the pistol. So having a light shotgun with continuous damage actually really amps up the lethality of that weapon. Dodge +1 inch impersonation, which is annoying. Again, played against some specular killers at the tournament. And martial arts level 4, which is great. So martial arts level 4 is still going to be great, even going into what we've seen for M5 changes. Stealth, surprise attack, terrain total. 33 points. So a little bit on the expensive side for a Fide, but that impersonation cannot be understated in terms of how useful it can be when played well, especially as impersonation, I believe, comes with that infiltration rule. You can basically just deploy outside of the enemy deployment zone, as far as I'm aware. So very, very cool unit. The sculpt, I love the fact that it's a bit old school in terms of how it looks, a bit more N2. Should hopefully keep those aficionados happy who like some of the more original sculpts. But if you play Assassins or Haqqislam, do you play Husayn Al Jubeil, the Assassin Fide? If so, how do you like to use it? Do you just use it as an impersonator to be horrible? I'm in my mind, the combination between smoke grenades, great on everything, even with things that don't have MSB. So if things get really sticky for this unit, you've got smoke to be able to hide behind. The viral CC weapon on martial arts level 4 and CC 23 obviously wants to get in CC. That impersonation makes it really easy for you to get there. But if you can't get there, you've still got that light shotgun with the continuous damage that could mess up a fire team very easily. You could be taking out the whole thing. Obviously, light shotguns generally 1 wound. If you're using template. So not that horrible against Teutonics. There's a lot of multi-wound out there, obviously coming from Torchlight, there's a lot of multi-wound in there. But that continuous damage suddenly means that not everything's safe. You could get really good lucky rolls on a tag and take it out to nothing. It's unlikely because of the armor saves, but you never know. That continuous damage means that you could really be trading up points very easily with that unit. At least that's what it looks like for me on paper, having never played that unit at all. Please correct me if I'm wrong, which I'm likely to be. This next one, I don't have a box to show you. It is the Reinforcements Domaru Takeshi Neko Oyama. And the reason why I don't have the box to show you is because he is assembled. You see that? You see that? An assembled model. They happen here. Well, the assembling isn't really the issue. It's priming, painting, playing that is the issue. But the reason that is assembled is because I'm going to be talking about Sandtrap at the end of this video and a lot of things JSA. So let's have a look at Neko Oyama. The sculpt. I was on the fence with this. A lot of the Sandtrap stuff seems really boss. Like it's actually really advanced and cool. And then I think this one, again, it kind of looked, this is not a bad way. Like an N2 sculpt that had kind of be repurposed or had been maybe gotten to the point where they did the design and the mold and they never ended up releasing the model for whatever reason. It's not a bad thing at all because a lot of the N2 stuff, especially with JSA and that anime style stuff, is super cool. Not broken, don't necessarily fix it. But it does look a little bit to me like it's of that older generation. And I'm actually really here for it. I think it mixes things up a little bit. Super cool sculpt, obviously in love with it. I'm really going to be fanboying over JSA for a while thanks to Sandtrap and Kestrel. That stuff is cool too. Let's have a look at Neko's profile. We've got some really cool stuff here. So 6'2" move, excellent. 2 wound, excellent. Armor 3, yes. I mean, those are all fairly good. I mean, you'd expect that from, a prominent character type. What you don't expect is the points cost coming in below 30 for a couple of those things. Add to that, BS attack +1 damage, BS plus, Berserk +3, CC attack shock, which can be good, can be nothing. Dodge +2 inches, frenzy, immunity to shock, martial arts level 3. The thing I love is tactical awareness. And pretty much anything that comes below 30 points that has tactical awareness, I'm trying to find a way to fit it in my army because I love the extra orders. CC 24, the move 6'2" is excellent. Now, with that tactical awareness, you could be using this aggressively. The tricky thing with this unit is that there isn't a long-range weapon option. You've got the chain rifle and you've got the EM grenades. Then you've got the breaker pistol, which is actually a good option, and the EM CC weapon and a DA CC weapon. So you can actually choose which one you're going to be using. That versatility is quite key. You want to be getting this guy into CC with heavy infantry, with tags, because that EM is excellent. That DA CC is going to be good, even though a lot of things are shock immune. So the fact that CC attack shock might not be super relevant against most targets. That DA is going to mean that things can get through and kill stuff, even if the shock isn't useful. So I think the thing I love about this profile is pure versatility. You've got something to counter pretty much anything. The EM grenades means you can go after heavy infantry tanks and hackers. The chain rifle means you can go after anyone else. The only thing you can't do is stick this thing out in the open against a long range weapon, because there's no long range counter. So you're using this really strategically. I hate using the word glass cannon, especially when I'm talking about JSA, because I feel like that's what everyone says. But this is definitely one of those ones where if you get it in the right situation and if you get it in the right circumstance, it could really earn back its points. Use it incorrectly, and it's going to be gone in a puff of smoke straight away, especially if you just painted it, because that seems to be the curse. So that one, part of the release, is already assembled for me as I start to build my JSA. Let's go to the next unit, and we're talking about Combined Army. We're going to Shazvasti Expansion Pack Beta. A couple of things in here that have already been released, but are being packaged really well. So the Malignos Hacker, we've got the Shrouded, and then we've got a Seed Soldier. So if you went into Wildfire, the Shrouded and the Malignos were in the Wildfire set. So if you're kind of old, or if you picked up a Wildfire set, then that's been how you get into Combined Army. Also, if you do the Combined Army Battle Army Pack, those are going to be in there. But this is really nice for you to be able to leverage up. I've seen the Malignos and the Shrouded used almost every time I've played Combined, because they have really good roles and functions within the army. And the Seed Soldier is also not to be sniffed at. That's been used quite a few times. Let's look at some of those profiles. So Shrouded, got Camouflage, Infiltration, Mimetism, Regeneration. The Shazvasti keyword's also super useful if you actually look at some of the missions that are in ITS Season 16 Part 1. There's special rules for Shazvasti that means they keep scoring for points. So well worth keeping that in mind when you're attacking them or playing them. This particular one in the pack for the Shrouded is the Boarding Shotgun flavor, which you'll see is the Mine Layer Shrouded, which is a great profile to be using, and I have seen that one used quite a bit. 23 points, 0.5 SWC, with that Camouflage and Infiltration, adding a mine to that, especially when it's... so that one's a Dazer, if you're using taking the Boarding Shotgun version, although there's then the Shock Mine version as well at 22 points, which doesn't have Mine Layer. So that's where the Boarding Shotgun fits in. When you look at the Malignos, Shazvasti Deep Incursion Corps, Camouflage, Hidden Deployment, Infiltration, Mimetism -6, Regeneration, Shazvasti, Surprise Attack, Terrain Total. Comes with a lot, comes with a cost for that too. So the one that we have in this pack here for the Malignos is the Hacker, which you've got two versions of in here, the Hacking Device or the Killer Hacking Device. The one that is here is Malignos Hacker. What does it look like that's got? SMG, potentially? In which case that would be the Killer Hacker version with the Shock Mines and the Dazer. I think I've got that right. Correct me in the comments below if I am wrong. That's 31 odd points, but that's a really good unit. Again, you've got to use it well, because as soon as you come out of that Camouflage and you've used up your Surprise Attack, or if you're using Hidden Deployment, that Mimetism is going to be all right, but if you get in the wrong engagement, then that's quite easily cancelled, and it is only a 1 wound model and doesn't have great armor. So you need to use that really strategically, but quite good. Something that you don't need to use strategically, but can actually save you the game, or win you the game, as I've seen from my mate Ollie, is a Seed Soldier. So it can start in seed embryo state, which is a weird state. I've actually got the rule here to try and understand it a bit more. They have 2 unit profiles. They must deploy in seed embryo profile. If it's got the camouflage state, then they can deploy in the camouflage state. If they get discovered, then the seed embryo token is used instead of the camouflage marker. You replace the camouflage marker or the seed embryo token with the corresponding model when they perform a skill with the movement label. As the first short skill of the order or the entire order, the new developed form is then used, or they perform a successful dodge ARO. These are tricky little monkeys. I don't love facing them because they count as points. They're actually semi-difficult to remove unless you get really close, and by that time, your opponent may have tried to do something like a dodge to open up. And then they've got cool profiles. They're relatively cheap. You're looking at the high teens at worst. Some of them have got grenade launchers, some of them have got Panzerfausts, some of them have got medikits, some of them have got forward observers. Very, very versatile units, and they've all got chest mines. So you've got to watch out. Getting into CC, at CC 10, you might not see that as much of a problem, but those chest mines are going to be problematic. So you don't want to get too close to them, because chest mines are a pain. So really good pack. That Seed Soldier is actually one of my favorite things in there. Then we get into the Yujing White Banner Expansion Pack Alpha. that's another great pack. We've got 3 models in there. We've got the Yimao hacker, the Hundun with heavy rocket launcher, and a Haktao hacker. I've faced all of these when I've faced White Banner at some time. They seem to be fairly staple parts of that army. Jumping into the Haktao special unit, you can maybe see why. Camouflage, dodge +1 inch, hidden deployment, immunity shock, mimetism -6, surprise attack. Super expensive. So I think for all of that, but you've also got a 6-2 move there. You've got high BS at 14. You've got good CC. You've got good PH. You've got good whip. You've got good armor, good BTS. So all round, actually very defensive, and it's got 2 wounds. I'm not fully into how that pairs into fire teams, and obviously with fire teams changing quite significantly in M5, what was a focus in M4 might not be going forward. And there might also be points adjustments here. So when I'm focusing on these profiles, it might be a bit redundant in about 2 weeks' time. But I can only go with the information I've got right now. The hacker is the hacking device, multi-rifle, but I do wonder if that NCO with the HMG is actually the more popular version of the Haktao, because you can use it aggressively, and especially with that armor, with that BTS, putting that on an HMG is actually pretty sensible. Although saying that, a hacker with whip 14 is also really good for only 3 points less. So that Haktao actually looks pretty solid. If you play White Banner, jump in the comments below. Do you like to use the Haktao? How do you use it? Where's its value lie? Yimao, infantry. MSP1. This version, did I say the Yimao was the hacker and the Haktao was something else? Yep, the Haktao is the hacker, as is the Yimao. So 2 hackers in this one. Again, whip 13, a little more average. BTS 6 though, only 2 armor. Got the super jump, got MSP1, got mimetism -3. The hacker here is multi-rifle. You've got the choice of killer hacker, normal hacking device, but there's also an engine here and forward observer version. And probably really good if you know the fire teams that can go in. And then we go to the Hundun ambush unit. We've got camouflage, hidden deployments, units in this box. So if you like handing over a courtesy list that doesn't have much on, this might be the box for you to be able to do that. Mimetism -3. There's MSV X visor. So the heavy rocket launcher is the one that's in this box with the X visor. So you mitigate the range bands for the heavy rocket launcher. Not that the heavy rocket launcher suffers from bad range anyway, and that's only 27 points. This is the sort of unit I think I could be using, almost like an expensive Noctifer, if you really fancy it. Next. I do have boxes for both of those. Here we go. Combined army. Sorry, I got so into talking. Boxes. They haven't been touched yet. No, they won't get touched. I don't think they'll get touched. I do collect Combined Army, and I do have Shatsbasti, but I've already got most of those units apart from the Seed Soldier. Then we go Triphammer. Boom. I must admit, this wins so many awards from me for the coolness of model. I do love it. I know it's tag raid based. It's kind of like repurposed. That's the story here. It's a repurposed industrial tag, but it does look like it'll be more at home in the tag raid books. This is a plastic resin, which is pretty cool. Looking at the profile itself, it appears in quite a lot of factions. So have a look down your list. If you see a Triphammer, this could be a good one to get, because I think it's one that a lot of people would use and do use. I haven't, because for the points, I've generally got other things that I want to be putting in there. But actually looking at this profile with fresh eyes again, I'm kind of thinking maybe I should be using this a bit more aggressively. One of the things that always gets me is battle ravage states. It's just one more thing to remember, and I'm a very simple cookie. So the idea that when it takes wounds and stuff, it's actually going to go down in performance is just another thing for me to forget. Special skills, booty, BS attack +1 damage, CC attack, anti-material, which is super useful. Again, in so many missions where you can like destroy antennas, beacons, resilience ops, this could be a really great way to be achieving that. Dodging on 9s, gizmo kitting on 10s, immunity to shock, of course, most tags are. Tactical awareness, which is quite useful, and then transmutation structure. And then it's got its battle ravage state, where you basically lose 2 inches of movement from the first short skill, you lose 2 CC, you lose 1 BS, you lose 3 PH, stays the same, armor reduces by 3, BTS reduces to 0, structure reduces to 1. But you've got some options here. AP Spitfire, heavy flamethrower, that could be quite cool for throwing in at the deep end. An APCC weapon. The AP Spitfire chain colt +1 burst can also be quite useful. The heavy shotgun Mark 12 for me, I mean the Mark 12's got an okay range band, but I feel like that's not amazing. But it's actually, if you're going to be doing something that's really short range but then has options, it's actually the 52-point heavy shotgun and Flammenspeer and Panzerfaust that I quite like the idea of. Basically makes it a very expensive, a bit more expensive, a lot more durable version of the... Oh, everything just escapes my mind. The remotes in Yujing that start in camo that I've played about 1 billion times, played against about 1 billion times, and I hate them. But because they've got Flammenschwitz and Panzerfaust, they can actually be really bad in ARO, and this could be exactly the same. You stick out a 52-point tag, you've got these, I'm trying to remember, but then you've got Flammenschwitz, and also the +1 burst also means inactive round. Obviously means because they're all disposable, you're going to burn through them quicker. But I think this is kind of a bit of a disposable unit. You know, you're not, it's here for a good time, not a long time. But I do love it. And then you've got the pilot, which is a specialist operative. So if you get into a real pinch and you need to be able to complete objectives, as having in the tournament, pilots are useful for that. Then before we go into Sandtrap, I'm going to go into Warcrow. Big caveats again here. I am unaware of Warcrow in general. So we've got the Hegemony Bulwarks. These are cool. So 4-pack here. Not a huge amount of, so product information, what have we got here? Not a huge, so thermoplastic, which we know is all of the Warcrow stuff. I do like the units. I do want, these remind me of the elves that I used to collect when I did Warhammer Fantasy. And these are cool. These are annoyingly the sorts of models that appear across my desk. And I go, should I get into that? Should I? Because it looks super cool. And that is also to be true of the Tundra Marauders. I think the paint scheme does them huge favors. Like, it makes me feel like orcs, but cooler, like a Avatar orc type thing. Expert rangers and scouts rank infiltrate enemy ranks to undertake risky missions. So if you're playing Warcrow, are you playing one of those factions? Which one are you super keen on, or are you just waiting to see? So Northern Tribes is the big one there. Then we go into Operation Sandtrap, and there's going to be a bit of noise and changing over while I grab some stuff. Operation Sandtrap. Boom. I'm so pumped for this. A little bit because I wanted to get into both of these factions a bit more anyway. And then this has given me the absolute perfect excuse. Now, you go, oh, Pano, you know, why would you want to get into that? It's like, you're right. A lot of Pano for me has not tickled my fancy. And I am actually really interested in how much Pano got cut, because I think another reason why I didn't want to get into Pano because it was so bloated. And now it's being trimmed back into a more manageable area for someone to come into it new. I've got military orders. I've got so much Pano that I just haven't really tapped into. And this is actually going to give me everything I need, I think, to get into Kestrel, which I think is a Pano force that really excites me. But not as much as the JSA excites me. So I love the fact that I love both of these because it's going to make my life easier. I'm just going to collect both and go hard into them. As you would have seen with the Domaru, small interruption, my very cute daughter came in and she's so cute. So back to Sandtrap. As you would have seen, I gave you a bit of a sneak peek, but I've obviously assembled Neko with some urgency, but I've done the whole Sandtrap set. There we go. Look at that, not me. This is actually one of my favorite models, and I think is one of the things that has got me so excited about JSA as well. So this was the pre-order exclusive edition. I don't have the Corsair, which is absolutely so lucky to just have this across my desk. But this Yamabushi is, I love the pose. I can't even remember, but there was a ninja that's just sitting on the rooftop. It's for, I think it was JSA or it was for Yujing. But that actually inspired me to just go, do you know what, how cool it is to have like futuristic ninjas and all that sort of stuff. And I think this Yamabushi is so that for me. Like, I love it when Corvus Belli make the poses and everything so thematic to that faction. You can't help but get sucked into the style of it just by looking at the models. And there's so much of that in this JSA set and this Kestrel set. I've also got the reinforcement pack, the JSA reinforcement pack from last month's releases, or back in maybe September's releases. So I've been assembling those two. And then what I'm doing is I'm actually going to be pairing them with the Corvus Belli bases, the Gamma. Oh, sorry, there's nothing I can do about that. The Gamma series. Because while it's not sandy, and obviously Sandtrap is all about the sand, I love the thermoplastic detail on these bases, and I really want to be elevating how the JSA look in its entirety. The tricky thing I've got, and maybe someone can jump in the comments and point me in the right direction for it, is the standard Corvus Belli bases, which I've some stuff on already, have really, really deep like recesses there, which makes magnetizing them so easy. But these ones are a lot shallower. and I can't quite figure out what magnetization I need to do for them. So if anyone's got any hints, tips, or cheats, then that would be nice. One of the things I'm cool about is this, though. So all the lore that comes in the Sandtrap books, that comes in with Sandtrap, gives you a lot of detail about them. I've also got my hands on the lore book, which some people will be receiving in November when they order their Sandtrap. So if you haven't been part of the group of people that have done, I think, getting the Sandtrap early because you're going to be doing demo games and you're not people like me who maybe get Sandtrap early just to try and build up some hype for it. What it looks like is happening is in the actual Sandtrap release, you're going to be getting the N5 lore book in there. That's really, really cool. I've got a PDF version of it at the moment. Can't, as far as I know, release anything really about it beyond what I have done already. But one thing they've got in there is a really cool painting tutorial at the back for JSA in the box art, Kestrel, and also Torchlight, which is really nice to meet. So what I've actually got is I'm ordering all of the colors because I'm going to try and do it as close to the instructions as possible, and then do a bit of a video that's trying to paint all of this to the box art style to just give you something maybe a little bit different, because everyone's doing Sandtrap content at the moment because it's so cool. And everything we've got coming for M5 is just so cool. So I'm going to try and do that just to give you a bit of something a bit different. It's like an amateur actually trying to follow that and try and replicate the box art that's on there, which is so classic JSA. I can't actually imagine painting them in anything else because I love it. And then the only thing I need to do is like save up for 2 years to then get the Warcrow JSA pre-painted buildings, and then A, I'll never be able to find a single JSA unit after a battle because they will blend in so perfectly. But B, I feel like my life is complete because I'll then have the JSA that I've wanted ever since I first played against them, against a guy called Carney at Intelcom, and I loved how they played. And now I feel like in M5 they're going to actually play like how they should and be super aggressive. And then if I can get that, then I'll basically just have them on a complete display stand forever as. And I think I'm also guilty of the fact that every single image in here is a combination of those two things, which just seems like the best combination ever. So that is Sandtrap. I've assembled the units, pretty much all of them. They are amazing. I've got to magnetize the bases because if you're one of those people that still just like foam, I don't know how you survive with like something like JSA where it's all swords and staffs and pointy out things that definitely just want to get caught on foam. Magnetization is literally the only way to go. One of the units I'm really keen to try is the Raiden, like that hidden deployment. Basically, it sounds like a Noctifer like type thing, but for JSA. But I'm really keen to see if it actually plays as well in real life as it seems to on paper. A little bit of my JSA, I'm building and prepping it and then waiting for Army Builder to release, because even though there's been a lot of profiles released for JSA and we've had better previews for JSA than we have for anything else, for me, I still struggle to do it just from like those preview releases, like do list building, and especially when we don't know what full M5 rules are going to be for a lot of those combat instincts. I think we know roughly what that's going to be, but until we can actually see all the rules, things like shotgun rules now, all the new points, it's going to be difficult for me to army build to the point where I can actually field a unit. But love this. I also love the fact that there's a bit of a blend, like there was with Torchlight, of like some Psyocast, some metal on there. Really cool use of the mixed material. Are you going to get Sandtrap? Have you got it already? If you've got it already, I've probably seen on Instagram because I've been very jealous of everyone who's received theirs ever so slightly before I have. What colour schemes are you going to be running? There are some variant colour schemes in here. As you can see, there's that for JSA. And what's Kestrel got? Let's give you a quick peek. And ones. What are you going to do colour schemes in if you're getting Sandtrap? What takes your fancy? Thank you so much for watching this video for the November releases. A lot coming, really exciting time. Obviously November M5 is going to be dropping too. So basically about to be heading into maybe one of the most exciting months that Infinity and Corvus Belli have ever given us. And I am so here for it now that I've recovered from running a tournament. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.